Um, Again, welcome everyone. My name is Ann Farkas. I'm a program assistant here at Fairfield Public Library as part of the What's Cooking series. And we are super excited for this evening's presentation. It is Monday, September 20th at 6:30 p.m. And this evening we have celebrity chef Michel Nischan and Stephanie Park of Berkshires Direct. Many of you have been to Stephanie's website and seen what they can do for you, and the farm to table boxes of produce are absolutely amazing. So I'm super excited to get on with the class this evening. A special thank you to my coworker Philip Barr and Jan Fisher for assisting this evening. Much appreciated. And just a reminder that this is going to be recorded. It is being recorded right now. And this will be available on our YouTube channel afterwards. Michelle has a very packed schedule. So we're going to pack it all in as much as we can into the hour that we have together. So without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Michelle.
Thanks a million, Ann. Really appreciate this. Everybody, welcome to What's Cooking. Ann's real brainchild at Fairfield Public Library. Awesome series, and I'm just honored to be here and be spending this time with many of you whom I know, and also to be hanging with Stephanie from Berkshires Direct. Berkshires Direct, actually, I'd say at least half of the growers are Connecticut growers, some of whom many of you who shop at the Westport Farmers Market would know. So it's a really awesome company. I've been getting produce from them from time to time and really enjoying using it. And I thought it would be kind of cool to help people figure out how to decode some of these boxes and show you what I do when I get one. So just a couple of things, a little bit of housekeeping. I think I sent everybody kind of directions and some recipes ahead of time. Most of you got them. For those of you who didn't, I think you have them now. But there were two sets of recipes. One was kind of like pre-prep because the chopped salad requires roasted beets, because non-roasted beets are really hard to eat. And they take at least an hour. Now, if you didn't get the opportunity to pre-roast butternut squash, don't worry about it, because you'll see it only takes 10 minutes here. But if you didn't get a chance to roast the beets, you can follow along, do the recipe without the beets, and just enjoy delicious roasted beets some other time. I'm going to show you how to do the whole process. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. There are some folks who aren't from this area who don't have a Berkshire's Direct box. People from places like Colorado and Tunisia, and we have people from all over the place that have joined us. So I did send out a shopping list. And you might have noticed in the shopping list that some of the items were bolded, some of the items were not bolded. That indicated for the Berkshire's Direct shoppers who bought the basic box, items that they would need to shop for if they wanted to do the complete recipe. But here's, and then I think there are some folks who probably work weekends or worked all day today who are now maybe just recently opened their email, can't do any pre-prep. It's all good because this is being recorded. So you could actually just hang back, enjoy some glasses of wine, watch me, and then do the rewind and pick up. I think the video should be ready sometime tomorrow afternoon. The one thing that I will say to you, if I'm moving quickly and you can't follow me all the way on the chopped salad can be made and enjoyed anytime. The salmon, we're going to be able to 100% cook tonight all the way. So if you end up having a wonderful salmon and ginger bok choy dinner, good for you. If you're able to do all of it, good for you. For those of you that are just hanging back and watching to be entertained, I hope we don't disappoint. So let's get started. Now I'm going to start with the salmon. And it's interesting, I was going to prep the entire salmon, but I wanted to show you guys how I skin a salmon. So you can see I pre-skinned part of the salmon. And the reason why I did that is because I have some miso fillets that have been marinating now probably about 6 to 8 hours. And if you look at this, you can see now, because there's salt and a little bit of sugar in this miso with the vinegar, it helps to cure the salmon. So the salmon juices kind of come out. That's why I like curing in advance. So that's why we're going to cure the salmon now. For those of you who are just getting started, we're going to cure the salmon. By the time we finish making the chopped salad, it's going to have at least a half hour on it. It's going to sear beautifully. But first, I want to show you how to skin it. It's interesting because you can skin it as you go. And that's what I did. I basically hold on to the tail of the salmon. I got those 2 fillets off, and I'm going to get another couple of fillets off. And you can either do this by the fillet, like that, or you could start at the tail and do the whole side of the fish. But basically, if you watch the angle of my knife, I'm holding the tail with my thumb. I'm putting the knife until I just feel the skin of the salmon, and then I turn it sideways, and it just really makes a nice cut on the salmon so that you can get the fillet off without having to worry about that. And I think what I really like to do on a lot of my fish and animal protein is I like to clean them up and maybe use like a 4 to a 5 ounce piece. You don't need 8 ounces of salmon. You don't need 10 ounces of salmon. These are a few really nice size fillets. I'm just going to focus on the 2 that are dinner size here. So you can see that's the salmon. Now for the marinade, make a note on the recipe. I think I sent that in my email notes. I found the miso cure recipe that I gave was just a little bit light, so I doubled it. So instead of 3 teaspoons of miso, which is a tablespoon, and 2 tablespoons of vinegar, I have 4 tablespoons of vinegar, and I have a full half cup of miso. Now, this is a little trick I'm going to show you. I put a little bit of canola in here. You can see that that's nice and oily on the inside, so that when I actually scoop my miso out and put it into my measuring cup so that I can get the proper measure, when I put it in my mixing bowl, it comes right out, and my measuring cup is pretty clean. I don't know how many of you get frustrated when you do something sticking in a measuring cup. And then I'm really just going to use this whisk and just keep whisking this miso cure until it's like a nice kind of thick sauce consistency. Now, this is from South River Miso in Conway, Massachusetts. When I had Heartbeat Restaurant back in 1997 in the First W Hotel, restaurant of well-being based on local, organic, sustainable, but no processed food of any kind, well-being being very important to me, it was important that we had a variety of different ways for people to get more plant-based protein. And this Adzuki bean miso is a complete protein, and it's fermented. It's got all of the amazingness of both beans and wheat. And you can see the consistency of this. This is for the bottom of the salmon. So I put a little bit of this on the bottom of the plate, just like that. Then I take each piece of salmon, just take the spoon and give it a good slather, and then set it on top of the existing Adzuki bean miso. So just like this. And the salmon is cured, or curing, I should say. And there you have it. So now we're going to move on to the chopped salad. So here I have my butternut squash, which we'll go over in a second. But first, I'm going to use 2 different kinds of carrots. So one of the things that I love about the box that they sent is we had a few different kinds of carrots, right? So I had an orange one, I had a purple one. And what I'm going to do is just show you, I pre-prepped this one to save a little bit of time, but I wanted to show you the trick that I use for peeling. Most people think the peeler goes one way. The peeler actually has 2 blades, and it's not just for righty and lefty. So you can go back and forth and peel it faster as you move along. You just kind of roll the carrot. So keep an eye on this, and you can see One of the reasons why I love doing this with the purple carrot is you can see that it's purple on the outside, the flesh is orange on the inside, and you can see that I did an awesome job of peeling the carrot. So once you peel the carrot, I like to save the scraps for compost, or I'll actually put them, freeze them and put them in a stock pot. Every once in a while, I make stock, and it's really awesome to be able to put those carrot shards in the stock, sweeten it up with the flavor of carrot, and then feed the scraps to the chickens. Anyway, I cut the carrots in half once, and now you're going to see I'm going to cut them in half one more time, just like that. And then I'm going to cut on a little bit of an angle and just finish this. Probably in between 1/8 and 1/4 inch. And those are now ready for the chopped salad. Now, the next thing I want to show you how to do is to cut and cook this butternut squash. Now, on this butternut squash is a little beeswax wrap. These things are awesome. You can see I already cut and ate some of the squash. Delicious, by the way, Stephanie. Thank you, Berkshires Direct. And I want some coins that are about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, probably right about here. I'm going to cut that, wrap my squash back up for later, and I can keep doing this all week, or I can just roast it all at the same time and just draw off of it all week. But here's how you peel a butternut squash. You use your knife. So you can see that I cut the skin, and my knife now is going to follow this line right here. I'm always going to keep my knife right behind that line as I move, and that helps me keep track to make sure that none of the green of the peel is staying on the flesh of the squash. Just like that. And then I'm going to cut it in half once.
Michelle, there's a question about whether you refrigerate the squash after cutting it.
I do refrigerate the squash after cutting it, yes. Thank you for that question. So now I've cut this into, I'm seeing it was a little bit thick, so I cut it into 6 coins. And now I'm going to show you guys a really awesome trick. You'll see in the recipe that it calls for about 4 parts of sugar, 3 parts of salt, some granulated garlic. I have at home some dehydrated onion from Victoria Spice. I put it in a mortar and pestle, but it can really literally just be salt, pepper, sugar, granulated garlic, granulated onion. So what I like to do is put a generous amount of seasoning on the squash. Just like this. And there you have it. And now I'm going to heat a large nonstick skillet. Let these sit for a few moments so they start getting nice and sticky. So this is pretty good size Teflon skillet here, big enough to fit them all. But it has a heavy bottom, which I really like. If you can cook them all together at the same time, that's really beneficial. So I'm going to let this get hot. I'm going to take a little bit of canola oil and put it in the skillet. And we're going to let these squash cook. We're actually going to caramelize them instead of roasting them in the oven. Now, when you roast them in the oven, they tend to get really cooked. Unless you roast a butternut squash in thick pieces, it's really easy for it to get really, really soft. And we want a little bit of texture in this chopped salad. We want some al denteness. We want some tooth. So it's only going to cook like about 4 or 5 minutes on each side. There we go. So now my skillet's getting nice and hot. I'm just going to add these squash coins, just like that. Take that little bit of leftover seasoning, get it into the pan. And there we have it. And now we're going to move on to the beets. Now, those of you who have pre-prepped your beets, I had put in the recipe 3 small beets or 2 small beets. These were large beets, so I basically cut the bottom off and then cut them in half, pole to pole, top to bottom. After I cut them So I put them in this size baking dish just so it would fit them, with kind of half and half sweet, not sweet, but fruity, like white balsamic, white Modena vinegar. And you can see that I put maybe about an inch and a half in there, just enough to moisten, covered it with foil, 375 degrees, 1 hour. They're perfect. And I want to show you how I peel beets. I don't use a peeler. I don't use a knife. I use a spoon. And you can see that if you get the spoon under the beet, it just pulls the peel right off. So I can hear my carrots are starting to sizzle. They're getting a nice little snap, kind of snap, crackle, pop thing going on. I can actually smell the seasoning, which is really spectacular. So we're going to keep an eye on those, rotate them every once in a while we prep this beet and cut it up for the chopped salad. But this is pretty much it. It's pretty easy when you look at how quickly and efficiently the spoon gets the peel off of the beets. Now, a lot of folks I know actually peel beets before they roast them. And what happens is you're kind of like getting rid of all of the good antioxidants, the actual healthy things that come along with the beet that you want. So that's it. And then you're going to notice that I'm just going to cut twice horizontally like this. It's all about geometry now. And now I'm going to give maybe just a couple of cuts this way. And then that's probably like the perfect size for a chopped salad. Voila, there we have it.
Michelle, there's a question.
Yes.
Someone only had fig vinegar. Would that be okay?
Fig vinegar is delicious. It's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Any fruity vinegar, Riesling vinegar, fig vinegar, some of the Pinot Noir vinegars actually are nice and fruity, so just, you want a little bit of fruitiness to it. I mean, these are beets, right? So, I mean, you could use cider vinegar, you could use malt vinegar, but then they taste more like kind of like pickled vinegary beets. That's why I also use half water. But the interesting thing I do want to show you, if you remember all of this liquid that was in the pan, what I did was I put it in a sauce pot about this size. So it would go something like this. You take this juice that now has all of that golden liquid from the golden beet, you put it in a sauce pot, you put it on a very low heat, and just keep an eye on it, keep a timer on. It takes about 35, 45 minutes. You cook it until it's about the consistency of maple syrup. And this makes a delicious salad dressing. So in the recipe, we coat the leaves of all of our lettuces and the vegetables with a little bit of oil, and then we splash it with a fruity white vinegar. I'm going to drizzle some of this on top. So, so many things that you get left with from the cooking process are actually just amazing flavor things that you can add as you go along. So now, really crunchy, really sweet. All of these things are good. This is a Honeycrisp apple. I have a couple of hickory turnips. I want to let you know I'm doing the use a spoon chopped salad because it was Newman's favorite salad. He loved getting different flavors in one spoon: crunchy, soft, fresh, sweet, earthy, nutty, cheesy, whatever it might be. These are hickory. We can use these raw. But for the apple, I'm going to show you how to core an apple in a simple way that sets you up to make a nice dice. I go right to the side of where the stem comes from the tree. I stay close to it, and you'll see that I got just one seed there. It comes right out, but here's what I'm left with. And the wonderful news is that you can, oh, look at that. That's beautiful. I'll show you guys this in a second. They're almost ready to flip.
Michelle, rewinding for just a second, there's a question from Diana about what type of beets were used.
These were golden beets. So I'm guessing they were classic golden mangle beets, because golden mangle beets get pretty large. So golden, Golden, Mangel. I'm guessing Stephanie Would you know otherwise? Does Stephanie have access to audio? Okay, guys, just look it up. Google it. Golden mango beets. Not now. Don't Google now. Pay attention. But anyway, any good golden beet will do. And frankly, red beets work too. These just, these came in the box, and that's what we're working with, and they are absolutely delicious. So there you have it. Again, that's nice. I'm just going to put these right in with the golden beets because we're going to mix it all together anyway. I think the hickory turnips, I'm just going to kind of slice them into coins. And I might even just quarter these coins. But one of Newman's favorite things to do was to have these, a little plate of salt and a Sam Smith nut brown beer, dip the hickory turnip in the salt, eat the turnip, drink the beer, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. So these, I'm going to just cut the coins. You can see I got this circle here like that. I'm just going to cut the circle into quarters so I get curvy end triangles so that I have a little bit of a different shape in the chopped salad. And these are, wow, delicious. This is really like nature at its best when you can just take a vegetable, pop it in your mouth raw, and have it be delicious. Amazing.
There's someone close to you that's talking about something maybe called smell-o-vision. Why do you smell so yummy in the house, hubby?
Oh, man. Well, let me tell you, talk about smell-o-vision. If you could smell this, I'm going to turn these over for you here so that you can see that these that's how you want them, just like this. So that took me about 5 minutes on one side, and I'm going to give them about 5 minutes on the other side max. And what's going to be great about this is that the starches haven't fully converted, so they're going to be al dente. Now I'm going to show you how to actually start putting together some of the other stuff. And we're actually going to have a warm component to the salad, which I think is really exciting. So here I have spigliarello. It's a cross between broccoli and kale. And it's just, a lot of you guys have it, but for those of you who don't have it, this is just really incredible stuff. Super textural, nice and curly. Because like kale, I'm going to show you how to massage it. But I like to take about this much in my hand. You can do it a couple of ways. I like to do it like this. I just take a little bit in my hand, almost like, you see people who do your hair, they take the scissors, they get a little hair in the scissors, and then they cut. This kind of controls it, but it keeps it, in this kind of cool, jaggedy fashion. Or if you wanted to, you could just use a knife and cut it like this. Either way works. I just kind of like it when it's a little bit more curly. Now, we want to get a little bit of a massage on this because, anything in the kale family is going to be a little tougher, a little bit denser. So if you massage it before you add the softer greens, I just do, a little bit of oil, sprinkle of salt, and I'm just getting in here and kind of rubbing it with good force, letting it fall out of my hands. Some of it's falling on the floor. Jacques would be so mad at me. Anyway, I'm just going to really get in here and kind of massage it. And you can feel it as you're massaging it that it's really starting to kind of give up a little bit. And that's what you want. You just want it to feel kind of, smooth and viscous. And the interesting thing about, using this method is if you do it in advance, a day in advance, 2 days in advance, 3 days in advance, it actually gets even a little more tender. Now, also in our basket, we had some really awesome parsley. Now, I picked some ahead. I like to put a lot of herbs in my salad. So, but to pick the parsley, a lot of people aren't sure if you pick every individual leaf. I pick them in nodes, so I just kind of take right off of the end of the stem. Here I pick two at once. Here I take the whole thing. I just leave it so the stem is free. And I use the stem for stocks, or I'll cut it into really small pieces, add it to my salad dressing. My chickens love parsley, so it's really great for chicken snacks. And then we have these really awesome chives. They're almost like in the onion grass family here. You guys who got a Berkshire box got these, I'm sure. And I'm not going to cut these finely. These are nice and mild, so I'm just going to, probably about that much. Maybe about that much each, right? Not too big, but not too small. I want you to be able to bite into this and get that kind of savory chive onion grass, finish. That goes in here as well.
Michelle, just a quick question about logistics. Is it possible for you to move your mic up a little bit above your arm? Just because there's a little bit of static. Yeah, there. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, how is this? Is this better?
It's a little staticky still.
It's staticky. Oh, that's interesting. Let me try taking it off of me. How's this?
A little quieter, but not staticky.
A little quieter, but not staticky.
As long as you use your outside voice, we ought to be fine.
Oh boy.
Oh, we might have lost Michelle.
Yeah, I think something happened.
Let's give Michelle just a second to reconnect. I know he has a great team there helping him, so I'm sure he'll be back momentarily. Also, just to respond, I don't know if you saw in the chat box that Stephanie responded that she's having a little trouble with her Zoom freezing, the joys of technology. But she did confirm that the beets are gold beets from Twin Oaks Farms in Hadley, Massachusetts. So Berkshire's Farms partners with farms in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York. So they partner with a lot of different farms, and I do encourage you to go to their website if you haven't already, because there's a lot of really wonderful information there. How's everybody doing with their cooking? Oh, and I'm seeing that some people are not hearing any static. Okay, well, I'm sure that he will be right back on. Here he is. Hi, Michelle. Sorry about that.
Hello.
There he is. Not sure what happened.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I finished. Everything's cooked. I'm just kidding. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Oh my God, what a panic. Anyway, I really didn't do anything else because you said static. Can you hear me better now?
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think as long as you don't move it, it'll be great.
All right. How do I sound now, guys? Is everything okay?
Say a couple things.
A couple of things.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No,
I think it might be better on the table.
Better on the table. Let me try this.
In the middle of the apron.
Yeah, somebody else suggested the middle of your apron, maybe. I think it's a movement thing.
How does this sound?
That is good, although the volume is low. Again, you'll just have to use your outside voice.
Okay, how does this sound?
That's good.
That's
perfect.
Good. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In the zone.
I'm going to put it right here. Okay, middle of the apron. Whoever said middle of the apron, thank you very much. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm sticking with. Okay,
Nice.
guys. So anyway,
Susan said that.
here.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. So here I want to show you that we have this really awesome butternut squash. That's sauteed. Now, I wouldn't get that caramelization if I roasted it. I just wouldn't. It's not going to happen. So I'm taking these nice warm coins and I'm just going to cut them in half one time this way. And then I'm just going to go a few times this way, almost like a baton. And I can, any of you who have followed me along, if you've been able to do that, can feel that there's a little bit of resistance to the knife. So there's this really awesome al dente texture to the butternut squash right now. Now, I have oil on my spigliarello. I have my parsley and my chives. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil.
And Michelle, there was a question earlier before we cut off about what could you substitute for that, for those greens?
For spigliarello, you could substitute escarole, frisee, kale. You could use turnip greens, mustard greens, any of the hardier lettuces. So you say again? Oh, yeah, you could use spinach as well, though I would not massage the spinach. You can massage escarole, you can massage kale, you can massage hardier root vegetable green tops and stuff like that. So that, and any good kale would be spectacular. It's really more kale than broccoli, trust me. So anyway, here we have all of that, yeah, all of the apples, the butternut squash. I got the golden beets in here. I've got the raw carrots. I have those high curry turnips. And now I'm going to use a white Modena vinegar. You could use white balsamic. I like to use white Modena. And if you can recall, guys, here is the vegetable seasoning I seasoned the squash with. I'm going to use that instead of salt and pepper to season the salad. I'm just going to give it a little bit of toss and let it kind of marinate and macerate. And then I'm going to crumble some goat cheese, add some nuts, and then we'll be in pretty spectacular shape here. This is already looking pretty amazing and colorful. I don't know if you guys can check that out. Looking really, really good. So now for the goat cheese, I have a cool little trick for you. I think you'll enjoy. A lot of folks are like, how do you crumble goat cheese? The grater doesn't like it. It gets all mushy and stuff. Here's what I do. I take the goat cheese, even when it's a little soft like this, I just put it on a wire cooling rack, just like this. And you go like this. Crumbled goat cheese. Awesome. It's so easy, right? So you guys can thank me for that one. I have some
genius.
Isn't that cool? I mean, it's
very cool.
I got a million of them. And then I have, a good cup and a half of roasted walnuts to add. Really, really awesome. I'm going to add a lot of good flavor, a lot of good crunch, a lot of good nuttiness. And I'm going to just really kind of plate this and just put this beautiful goat cheese on top. Now this goat cheese comes from Thomas Farm. So local, made naturally with sea salt, just really, really good, goat rennet in a really simple process. And it's just freaking delicious. So here we go. A little bit of chopped salad. I like to make sure I get a couple of the different colors on top, make sure that people can see some of each of the vegetable. I love how these carrots were purple on the outside and they're just beautifully orange and yellow on the inside. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's just really, really stellar stuff. So here we go. A little bit of crumbled goat cheese on top. And the great thing about this salad is it doesn't have to be served immediately. Thank you. It can sit here and macerate, and I'm going to do that right here because now we're going to move on to the salmon. Just give me a few brief moments to reuse my pan here.
Does anyone have a question for Michelle?
Yeah,
at
now is
this
a good time for questions.
You can either type them in the chat box or shout them out.
Or I'm just doing so great that nobody has any questions because I'm just so clear at everything I do. And they picked up all of my clairvoyance from when I had when my computer shut down on me. My apologies for that, guys. Anyway, so our next dish is going to be the miso seared salmon with the baby bok choy. When I heard that baby bok choy might be in the box, I got super excited because it's just such a remarkable vegetable, and it's really easy to do this in a way that just equals wow. So here's the baby bok choy. This is it, right? It's really awesome. If you look on the inside, I actually have a little chive on my thumb here. If you look on the inside of these leaves, if you guys are picking your bok choy up, you might notice that there's a little bit of dirt in there. So what I do is I turn on warm, almost hot tap water, and I will run these leaves under it. And the warm water really chases the mud away because I'm going to use this whole. So I'm just
Michelle,
going to.
someone missed the trick with the goat cheese. If you could just review that real quick.
Oh, the goat cheese? Sure. I actually might have more goat cheese, but what I did, could I have that mixing bowl back? Oh, thank you. You are
With
number one.
respect to the goat cheese, they're also asking if they have four ounces of goat cheese, how much do they use for a half a cup?
4 ounces is a half a cup.
Okay.
Okay.
Got
awesome. Yeah, beautiful. So I really just took the goat cheese out, spooned it right on top of this wire cooling rack. And then I used a spoon and just like I was spreading it on the cooling rack, and it all falls through the cooling rack and you end up with beautiful crumbled goat cheese. Do you have that goat cheese by chance? Because I'll show it.
And thank you everyone for responding in the chat box. There's a lot of help going on in there. People helping people.
Oh, that's
wonderful.
Awesome. So here you go. That's what it looks like. If you can see that, that's just from putting it on the rack and rubbing a spoon over it. Works every time. It's amazing. No matter how soft, how hard the goat cheese is. Now, first thing I'm going to do is cut this bok choy pole to pole, basically. I'll face this end toward you because it's probably easier to see this way. I'm just going to cut it right down the middle, just like that. And if you can see here, you can see that I got all of the dirt out of that area. If you still have a little bit of dirt, it's now easier to open this up and run it under some warm water. But what I'm going to do now also is take my vegetable seasoning, and this is that, 4-part sugar, 3 parts salt, cracked black pepper, freshly milled pepper. It's an amazing vegetable seasoning because what it does is it interacts with the natural vegetable sucrose that's already in the vegetable and really helps it to caramelize brilliantly. It works amazingly. So I'm going to turn my pan on now so it gets nice and hot. And I'm going to show you a cool trick about peeling ginger. Now, you can certainly peel ginger root with a vegetable peeler. You can do that. It gets a little stringy. It gets a little messy. You can use a knife and you end up wasting a bunch, or you can use a spoon. Just like when I peeled my golden beet, you can see that the skin is coming right off of the ginger root. It's the easiest, fastest way and most comprehensive way to peel ginger and get the skin off and not waste any of the precious root. Ginger is an amazing medicinal, but more than anything, it anything that you're doing with an Asian flair. It's just so delicious, and it's so very, very, very good for you. Something that people certainly should be eating and drinking more of. For ginger tea, using this method to peel and the same method to slice, just a few slices in a cup of hot water, and the results are pretty sensational, I have to tell you. Once I have this peeled, I'm going to cut it now. The way the root grows, you can see these fibers coming out here. I'm not going to cut it this way, because if I did, it would be stringy. I'm going to cut it this way. So I'm just going to take a few slices, just like that. And that's really enough for this dish. You don't need much more than that. You need a nice hot skillet, which this one is. Going to turn it down just a touch.
So Susan, who made the recommendation about the microphone,
Yep.
she works with the deaf. And so that's how she knew how to make the microphone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Works so well.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Can't
And
wait
she's-
to meet you in person.
She's also suggesting a grapefruit spoon for ginger.
Oh yeah, grapefruit spoons work as well. So here you can see that I've just oiled the cut side of the bok choy. And then I'm going to put that in the skillet. And then I'm going to show you guys a really cool little trick that I know you're going to love. I'm going to drizzle a little more oil for my ginger. And once this really starts cooking, I'll bring it to you guys so that you can see it. Can you guys still hear me good?
Yes, sounds
right.
great.
Beautiful.
There's a question about how you store ginger, Michelle.
I store ginger open in the refrigerator. If it's once it's cut, once it's fully cut, if you've peeled it, I put it in a Ziploc bag and refrigerate it. But you can see just 3 slices of ginger for each of my baby bok choy. And then I have this really cool cast iron skillet. I'm going to set it on the fat part of the bok choy. Bok choy is actually going to take longer to cook than the salmon. So by putting a pan on top of the fat part of the bok choy, it makes sure that that cut side is coming in contact with the pan so that I get full caramelization. But it's also keeping some of the steam in there so that the thicker part of the bok choy cooks all the way through by the time the rest of the vegetable is done. So while that's happening, I'm going to now show you how to deal with the salmon. So here are my salmon fillets. You can see this one I'm not going to be able to bring up, because it would get all over. But I'm going to scrape the cure off onto the plate. I'm going to reserve it, and you can see that the salmon is kind of opaque now. You can see it's nice and red there, but it's really white. It's actually starting to cook a little bit. That's what curing does. So all of this, the sugar, the salt, a little bit of the acid in the vinegar, the fermentation is transferring to this salmon. It's going to make it super delicious. So I have another skillet. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil in the skillet. You can also just oil the salmon fillets directly if you like. And there you have it. Now, I don't know, can you guys hear that? Can you hear that through the microphone?
Yes.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah, I can hear the sizzle.
Smells better.
So Margaret made a wonderful comment, and I am in full agreement with her. She says, we're learning so much, I can't handle it.
I'm sorry.
It's wonderful.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay, I thought, I can be an overwhelming guy from time to time.
No, all of these tips are wonderful.
This smells spectacular. Holy cow. This is really, and you know what's great is, you know, the ginger. I'm going to see if I can get it close enough to you guys to see, but you know, the ginger is getting brown and crispy, and I can really smell it. Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of like taking over the pan. And I'm just going to give it a quick check. Make sure that the, oh yeah, the bok choy is caramelizing spectacularly.
Michelle San is asking if you have a recommendation of a wine to drink with this.
Oh. Rosé. No, I would, with what we're doing here with these Asian flavors, rosé and any sparkling wine is pretty universal, but I would really love like a dry Alsatian Riesling or a dry, really on the dry side, German Cabernet. They're all fruity. I mean, some people will actually say that they feel that they're sweet, but a good dry, really good dry Riesling would be spectacular. A Gruner Veltliner from Austria would be a fantastic wine. And frankly, I think, you know, some of the fruitier, like even a Beaujolais Nouveau would be like super delicious with this around November, right? And some of these bok choys and the brassicas and the cabbage families, they're alive and well, you know, all the way into December. Look at that. Look at this. So my baby bok choy, guys, looks really spectacular. I'm sure yours does too. My salmon, look at the caramelization from having that miso cure. Look at that. Now, I've just turned the salmon over, put in the pan, and I turned the pan off. It's almost ready to serve. So I am going to get my act together here and get a serving plate. And I'm going to begin to plate the salmon dish so that I can finish the sauce. And if you look at this, can you see that, guys? See how nice and caramelized that is? See how crispy the ginger is? Looks great, right? Smells ungodly amazing.
Oh, here's an important quick question. Someone has the skin on their salmon.
Oh, that's okay.
Does that make a difference with the cook time?
No, not really. What I would say is if the skin is on your salmon, when you turn it over, don't turn the pan off. Leave the pan on for about a minute. And so because we're already in the process, but in the future, if you start with the skin side down and cook the skin until it's crisp and then turn it over and turn the pan off, you get that nice crispy skin salmon. So that's the only thing that I would change. I apologize for that. I should have taken that into consideration. Okay, so here we go. Look at that. Now I have the pan that I cooked the salmon in. You can see I got all the deglaze in there, bits of miso, got a little bit of oil in there. I'm turning the fire up on high. I'm using some leftover Sauvignon Blanc wine. I'm going to bring this to a full simmer because I really want to cook the alcohol out of the wine. I don't want it to be bitter. The bubbles are just starting to get a little bit big. And now, remember this is all my salmon juice and my salmon cure. That's going right into that pan, just like that. And already I can see the salmon juices starting to thicken this up a little bit. And then, you know, just like a lot of the French cooks did in Korea and Vietnam and in Laos and Cambodia. They brought their Indochine style cooking. I'm going to take a little bit of butter, just like any good French person would do, and put like maybe just a pat, like a tablespoon. And that's it. And you can see there's your sauce. Nice consistency. And I'm just gonna, actually, I think I'll use a spoon. There we have it. That's finito. That's your salmon and bok choy dish. And here's your, Newman says, use a spoon chopped salad. Here's your finished plate. If you guys can see that. Succulente. See all the nice caramelization on the bok choy. See the beautiful adzuki beans and chunks of soy in the miso. Look at that gorgeous caramelization on the miso salmon. Guys, that's it. That's all. What I would like to do is open it up for any questions. If anybody has some questions, I think we have about 8 minutes left.
You are amazing.
I do want to thank my wife, Lori, who is my producer, my set designer, and the person who was like holding up cards in front of my face to let me know that I had like 10 minutes left and stuff. But I hope you guys all have like a drink or a glass of wine or a soda or a tea or something like that. We should all kind of cheers Berkshire Direct and cheers Anne for putting this gathering together. Thank you very much. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you.
So there was a question about how much wine when you were making the sauce for the salmon?
Enough. No, I'm sorry. I'd say.
I'm not talking about the drinking wine, the cooking wine.
I'd say about a quarter cup, quarter cup. If you want it to have a little more acidity, you can use close to a half a cup. If you use a half a cup, you want to cook it down by half. In reducing it will increase the acidity, make it a little more tangy and stuff like that. I used about a quarter cup.
Hi, Michelle. It was a little confusing with the box of groceries. I got 2 different lists that stated things that I didn't get. I know there were some special items that you could order toward the bottom, but my list stated peppers and plums and a few other things, and I didn't get the spigarello, which I was really disappointed because I've never seen that before. So
where do you live? I have extra.
I'm in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Where?
Fairfield, Connecticut.
Oh, Fairfield.
High Street, yeah, in Fairfield.
All right, cool. All right, yeah, Ann, get me your address, man. I'll drop off some spigarello.
Yeah, I'm dying to try that. I love it.
And bring him to the library, and we could.
We didn't get a lot of that.
Whoever that is, if you can bring them, send me your name.
But we didn't.
Okay, it's Sandra. Anyway.
Sandra, okay,
Yeah.
Excellent. So we also have Monique, who joins us from Tunisia, but currently on a trip. And she is in Valencia, Spain, and stopped her travels to participate with us today. She just sent
how
a
awesome.
message in the chat box. So that's wonderful.
The biggest question is, when are we doing this again, Ann?
Very soon. So as you all know, one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at Fairfield Public Library is hearing from our patrons. So please, when you get the link tomorrow, to take the survey and ask for what you want. Michelle came to us today because you asked for a cooking class. So here we are. So Michelle has offered to do this again, which is just amazing. And I can't thank him and Stephanie enough for all of the time. I think it is so clear that all of the time that they put into planning this, preparing for it, all of the recipes that were made especially for us. As Michelle said, these are not printed anywhere. They're for us.
These are for you guys.
Wow, thanks for joining.
And look, I just added plums to the chopped salad. So that's what you can do with your plums. Well, listen, just, on the box and stuff like that, thank you guys for your patience. This is the first time we've ever done this. so we felt that there might be some glitches. I know that, like I said, a thing like I really wanted to do like this Walla Walla onion, and I have like notes. I have, if I would show you like the area like under my computer, I have like notes. Don't forget to talk about the Walla Walla onion. I forgot to talk about the Walla Walla onion. I was going to dice this up and add it to the chopped salad as well. But as we learned from this one, so if you guys loved it and you would like another one, just let Ann know that. Stephanie and I are game. Berkshires Direct is game. They always have some really great stuff. And please do take the survey because we want to hear from you.
Absolutely. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to ask Michelle while we're here right now? Go ahead and just unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi, Michelle. I told Ann I couldn't find miso anywhere. I went to 3 different stores, Whole Foods and a couple other places.
Really?
So I substituted tamari.
Oh, tamari's amazing. Tamari is the juice that comes off of miso. So when you ferment the beans, it's really kind of like, honestly, it's like an unbrewed soy sauce, right?
Okay.
You ferment the beans and they're wrapped in cloth and they're put in a press. And as they ferment and as those flavors develop and they get really, really juicy, and the press is designed to work that liquid out until you get kind of that perfect consistency, that moisture content. All of those leftovers are tamari.
Okay, good.
So it's a really great substitution. And I think, we did have somebody wrote in saying they were having some trouble finding miso. So I did find it. I hate to do this, but it was available. It's available on Amazon too for like,
Oh, okay.
$7 or whatever. But that tamari was a good call.
Okay, good. Any hints of using fish oil? I understand it's the thing that people don't use at all, and it's really.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a fan. It doesn't hold up well to the cooking process. And there's a lot of fish oil right here in this chunk of salmon. So I like using cooking oils for cooking and stuff like that. I like getting my fish oil naturally. I love super oily fishes like sardines and mackerel and kingfish. And, it's a best way to get it. The amount of fish that have to give themselves up and sacrifice themselves for us to get a tablespoon of fish oil is pretty crazy. And what it does is it actually starts decimating, the herring and the anchovy stocks that fish rely on to eat. So we're better off eating like anchovies and sardines and mackerel and stuff like that. We'll get, and it's so much more assimilable because it hasn't been processed. The best way to get fish oil is as it is, sliced raw for sushi or briefly seared. This salmon right here is probably medium rare to medium. So the omega-3s are still intact. That's how I like to get my fish oil. And I like to leave the cooking to things like grapeseed, canola, and olive oil, peanut oil, things like that.
All right, thank you very much. This is wonderful. I'm going to go eat.
Nice.
So,
Me too.
yes, please, everyone, send me your images of what you have prepared. We would love to see pictures. A couple of you have been texting them to me.
Nice.
And I'll put that in the survey tomorrow too.
I want to see him.
You absolutely will. Oh my gosh. I got a picture of someone's salad. It looks insane. So good. So
Awesome.
good.
I'm gonna take this and send a picture.
So regarding miso, Mary was pointing out that I think it's Kmart in Milford has multiple choices of miso.
Kmart.
It's just down here.
Wow.
Is that right, Mary?
I can't see in the dark.
That's where my mom used to buy my tennis shoes.
Tennis shoes and
No,
miso.
it's
What a
Gmart.
combo.
Oh, Gmart? What is Gmart?
It's an Asian store in Milford. I don't know
Okay,
if
I got that
I
wrong.
think that's what she meant.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Nice.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
also guys, any questions, if after this you have questions or concerns you didn't want to air here, if you go to chefnischan.com, and go to contact. Just ask your question there. Courtney Allison works with me. She fields everything. And within the next week, we'll get to any question you can possibly ask. So please feel free, chefnischan.com.
Wonderful. Well, and I can tell you that they are very responsive. So don't hesitate to reach out. We're so very grateful.
Yeah, we live
Very,
to
very
serve.
grateful. All right. Well, we'll let everybody
Thank you
eat.
so much.
Welcome. Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. Thank
Bye-bye
you.
now. Time to
Thank
eat.
you.